All right, good morning. Good morning. Coffee and chat with Rev Bruce, wrapping up Black History Month. We're taking on some stuff that still heavy, still dealing with how to cure the community for the children and the youth. And I think that starts with us having a healthy enough community to provide support to children and youth. Um, that's where it starts. A healthy community in place to provide support to children and youth. And so, in order to get to that, we've got to address what's attacking the community, either from within or what's invading it. And so, looking at the stuff that's eating away and attacking at the community, um, I would say definitely chronic disease. When we look at the numbers, chronic disease, stroke, heart disease, cancer, those three are of the top that are still attacking the Black community, um, which in most cases can be addressed with lifestyle, as well as diabetes, addressed with lifestyle. And then finally, gun violence, which is on another end of the spectrum that can be addressed with some things that we're going to put forth. And so let's talk about this thing. Let's talk about what's happening in our communities, right? That we're suffering from this at higher rates than anyone else. And we're dealing with this in such a manner that it's a challenge in itself. It's a challenge in itself for us to deal with it on a continuum, because when we feel like we've gotten ahead, we get lackadaisical and we haven't gotten ahead. And let's say it like this: we don't need to just talk about prevention. We need to also talk about reentry to our community, giving people a positive avenue to reenter into society after they've been incarcerated and dealt with the system. Plenty of, I would say, plenty of my friends coming out of CYA didn't have the tools or any of the things, types of support that they needed to keep them on the right track once they had served time within the system, California Youth Authority, and next thing you know, they're back on track for a prison stint. Um, we can't wait for the government to fix that. We've got to put some things in place as a community, right? And if we want people to come back in the community and be contributing members of society, we've got to fix that on our end and be ready for them for their return. Not do all this other stuff and tell them go down to probation and find a job and all this other. Get out of here. Fix that from within, and then you don't have to worry about someone else creating a program to take care of it. Right? I mentioned this the other day. We talk a lot about programs, but programs aren't always progress for us. Sometimes programs are prohibitive for us because they limit who can participate. Look at your second chance programs for individuals that have been incarcerated. If they come out, they get their gate money, they get some drink and some other stuff and hang out for a minute before they go check into a program. They're no longer quote unquote clean, and so they do not qualify for a lot of these programs for reentry. We've got to fix that. We've got to come up with something that deals with individuals on a broader scale rather than the top 2 to 3% who will quote unquote make it based upon the odds. That's just a nonprofit leveraging scheme that we know people do with programming, where they eliminate the bulk of the people and only take the cream of the crop in order to get the best results. I know how that works. Don't play that game. Taking on what is taking us out means that we look at things as a black community and say, this is not going to be how we end things. Talk about gun violence. Black teens, black children, they're nearly 19 times more likely to die by homicide than their white peers. Homicide. The sirens, the ghetto birds, all those things that we become accustomed to, the high-speed chases. Some communities don't deal with that. Some communities, they don't know that sound. They're not accustomed to that. They're not accustomed to dealing with that. They're not accustomed to dealing with the flashing lights and all of that. And here it is, we're creating an environment where children are 19 times as likely not to so much experience that, but to die based upon gun violence, right? And turn this thing around. And point the finger right at ourselves. Gun violence at the hands of whom? Gun violence at the hands of whom? Whole bunch of white folks invading the neighborhood and shooting us up. You know what I'm saying? We can't put that on them. I know, because I was involved in it. You know what I mean? Gang violence, territorial violence. No matter how you look at it, a lot of this stuff is curable from the inside. We can fix it from the inside, but it takes a lot to get us out of that. It takes a lot to get us out of dealing with that issue. It takes a lot, and we have to be willing to stand with each other 10 toes down and say, hey man, look, been there and it ain't getting us nowhere. Been there and it ain't getting us nowhere. We ain't got no further. We're not running the dope game, we're not running the gun game. And now that it's legalized, we see we're not running the weed game either. Hello? So what is all the violence about? You understand what I'm saying? We've got to get with this and understand this is dangerous for those coming up behind us, and still for many of us who are just still out here. 19 times. Children and teens are 19 times more likely to die by homicide, gun homicide, than their white peers. And let's look at how to fix it. We talk about what's wrong with it. How to fix it. Come on, y'all. Host town hall meetings about gun violence. If you got a church, community center, library, right? Come on. Listen, if you don't even have a church and your church is too small, cross over and say, hey, Seventh-day Adventists, can we borrow your building for an afternoon when you're not having worship, an evening when you're not having worship? Go to the educational house and say, hey, can we use the school auditorium for a town hall meeting? Talk to the civic leaders. But if you're serious about it, you can get it done. There's more than one way to get it done. Don't just say, oh, we don't have any space. You know how to pull up them cars and you know how to pull up them cars and pop them trunks and do all that other stuff and have a good time hitting wheelies, three-wheel motion and everything else. You know how to do that and find a space for that. Come on. Provide gun violence awareness information. Support gun buyback programs. Gun buyback programs should be in conjunction with law enforcement because they need a place to go and be accounted for when they're no longer in circulation. Let's keep that in mind. Help fund assistance programs for victims of gun violence. This is something that we can do as a faith community easily. Work with your local district attorney. Work with your public defender. Work with your general hospital, your children's hospital, right? The victims of gun violence. What's going on with them, right? The district attorney wants them to testify. But here's somebody recovering from gunshot wounds that they don't want to go back through that. Come on, y'all. Let's get real. What we need to do is provide assistance to them. What does that look like? What does that sound like? We used to do something called the Pledge Against Gun Violence. We used to do that with students. Pledge.org. Check it out. Easily done. Bring gun awareness, right? The awareness of gun violence into the schools so that children have information about it. Listen, if someone's not talking about it at home, the next place is going to be the church or the school, right? If someone's not talking about it at home, the next place is going to have to take place and take responsibility is either going to be the church or the school. That's how our community and society is pretty much set up. Beyond that, it's law enforcement. And when they jump in, we don't necessarily want it to that level. It doesn't have to go to that level for a first experience when they jump in. We're talking from a preventive sense of dealing with gun violence. Somebody still with me? I hope you are. God bless. Listen to me. The next thing we need to do is deal with this diabetes, right? Deal with this diabetes. This diabetes is taking us out, and it's taking us out in a sense of we've got greater number of people dealing with diabetes than ever, right? Black Americans are nearly twice as likely to be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Why is it in there? Twice as likely to be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes than any other group, any other ethnic group. Pacific Islanders, twice as likely. Latinos, nearly twice as likely. Asians, nearly twice as likely. White Americans, nearly twice as likely. Come on. And it occurs at a higher rate in the Black community, right? So this deals with a broader health idea. This deals with fitness and nutrition, physical activity and nutrition. This deals with access to healthy food as well as the ability to get up, move, and get your steps in and get some physical activity in your area. Some of the areas people are living in, we've got more people leaning in towards having respiratory issues because of some of the areas we live in than we have in having healthy days out and about. It's what's in the air, it's what's in the water, it's what's coming through the pipes, so it's coming through the vents, right? This is not conspiracy theory. This is real in certain communities, right? Because of how the buildings are structured, because of what hasn't been rehabbed in the building, right? Where did we think asbestos went? It just all vanished? No, that takes a treatment to it. And so if we're not in these areas where buildings have been treated and revamped and money has been invested in handling some of this stuff, we're going to find more and more likelihood of asthma, respiratory issues, things that pile on in addition to type 2 diabetes. Right? How do we address this? Come on. Get with setting up a weekly fitness class or walking group. Right? It's about to be daylight savings time again. We should be prepared for spring to summer walking groups going on after 5. Community, local park, beach fronts, boardwalks, any of that. Provide health awareness information, right? You don't have to be an expert. Work with Feed America. Work with a nutrition program. Work with WIC. Come on, all these things are in existence. You can be you can be a middleman. Pass it on. Share the information. But the other thing is support community fitness and nutrition programs. Support them. Help promote them. Right? Somebody starting a Pilates and yoga group, yoga studio in your community. That might not be your thing, but support them. That might be something that one of your people need. One of your people in your church might need that. One of the people in your group might need that. Support them. Help fund hunger relief and nutrition education program. I say nutrition education program because a lot of this is lifestyle and it deals with diet, deals with the nutrition, and if we're not careful, we'll keep circling back to the same thing over and over. Diabetes is taking too many of us out. FightDiabetes.com. FightDiabetes.com. Check it out. It's right there. We can deal with it. We can deal with it, but in how we deal with it, we've got to be vigilant. We've got to be vigilant. This is something that's happening, and it's happening again and again. It's happening within our communities, and I just say let's look at it from different perspectives. Let's look at it with a different lens and look at how we can knock this out and not have this continue to be a problem for us as a people. Listen, a lot of folks are going through Ramadan right now, right? A lot of people are going through Lent. Perfect time, detox your body. Perfect time to detox your body. Go back to Daniel. What did he say? Give me 10 days and we'll look different. 10 days of water, 10 days of natural stuff, 10 days of nothing but healthy stuff, 10 days and we'll look different. We'll be different. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Hey, this is what happens and what can happen if we actually take on what's taking us out. Stop waiting for a government program to come into existence and all of a sudden wipe out the health issues that are happening within communities of color. That doesn't exist. That's not under review for anyone's legislation to be pushed out. Haven't heard anybody from the Senate, Congress talking about doing that. They're still trying to figure out how to deal with ICE. That's their problem. What we need to do is take up the mantle and be watchmen over our own communities and start doing that, because they're not looking out to help us on that. They're going to tax you some more and charge you for solar if they can. God bless them. But this is what we got going on right now. And if we can do it and save some lives doing it, God bless us in the effort. God help us. And if we can live better together, God, I hope this can work out. This is something that can be done. Let's do it together. Let's make it happen. And let's not fight it. Let's work on it as one single group, as a collective, as a joint effort. God be with you. God bless you. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being here.